RDR has a lot of characters, but some are so strange. That's what we're going to talk about today, starting with a minor but very strange character, Cave Hermit. Now, if you're scratching your head wondering who the heck I'm talking about, don't worry. This fella's easy to miss. He's tucked away in a cave northeast of Wapiti Indian Reservation, and well, let's just say he's an interesting character. So get this. Our cave hermit used to be a regular guy named Jimmy Brooks. Yeah, the same Jimmy Brooks that Arthur can save or let fall off a cliff at the start of the game. Wild, right? But here's where it gets really strange. Jimmy decided to leave his old life behind and become a hermit. Why? Because he thinks he's being chased by a shadow government that wants to silence him. Paranoid much? When Arthur stumbles into his cave, the hermit's first reaction is to threaten to eat him. Yep, you heard that right. Eat him. Talk about antisocial. But if you manage to calm him down, he'll start rambling about some pretty out there conspiracy theories. We're talking lizard people, mind control, the works. It's like he's been binge-watching ancient aliens in his cave. The really intriguing thing about the cave hermit is this. Is he actually crazy? Or does he know something we don't? Rockstar leaves that up to us to decide. In first Red Dead Redemption, we meet Seth when he's pretty much hit rock bottom. He's dirty, smelly, and more than a little unhinged. The poor guy's spent years searching for a treasure that may or may not exist, and it's clearly taken its toll. He's left behind his family and any semblance of a normal life in pursuit of this elusive wealth. What makes Seth such a strange and memorable character isn't just his questionable career choice or his fondness for the deceased. It's the way he seems to straddle the line between madness and genius. There are moments when you can't help but wonder if there's method to his madness, if maybe he knows something we don't. One of the most bizarrely entertaining things about Seth is his relationship with his partner, Moses. And by partner, I mean a decomposing corpse that Seth drags around and talks to like it's his best friend. It's disturbing, sure, but there's something darkly humorous about it too. Especially when Seth gets annoyed at Moses for not being a great conversationalist. Despite his eccentricities, or perhaps because of them, Seth proves to be a surprisingly useful ally to John Marston in the first game. He might be crazy, but he's got skills and knowledge that come in handy. It just goes to show that in the wild world of Red Dead Redemption, even the strangest characters have their part to play. In the end, what makes Seth one of the strangest characters in the Red Dead series is the way he embodies the dark, twisted side of the Wild West dream. He's a man so consumed by the promise of riches that he's lost touch with reality, preferring the company of the dead to the living. Yet, there's something almost admirable about his single-minded determination, even if it's misguided. Moving on. Alright folks, let's saddle up and talk about one of the most, let's say, colorful characters in the Red Dead Redemption universe. Good old Bill Williamson. Now, Bill might not seem as outwardly bizarre as our grave-robbing friend Seth, but trust me, this guy's got his own special brand of weirdness. First off, let's paint a picture of Bill. Imagine a big, burly fellow with a temper shorter than a rattlesnake's patience and an ego bigger than the state of New Austin. That's our Bill. He's the kind of guy who'd start a bar fight over a game of dominoes and then forget why he was fighting in the first place. What makes Bill truly strange is the combination of his inflated self-importance and his, well, let's call it, lack of mental acuity. This is a man who genuinely believes he's got the smarts to lead a gang, despite evidence to the contrary. It's like watching a bull try to play chess. Fascinating, but you know it's not going to end well. In Red Dead Redemption 2, we get to see Bill as part of the Vanderlinde gang. And boy, is it a sight to behold. He's like that one cousin at family gatherings who everyone tolerates but no one really wants to talk to. His interactions with the other gang members are a goldmine of awkward, cringe-worthy moments that'll make you laugh and wince in equal measure. One of Bill's strangest quirks is his obsession with keeping his guns clean. Now in the Wild West, a clean gun is important, sure, but Bill takes it to a whole new level. He's constantly polishing and fiddling with his firearms, to the point where you'd think those guns were his only friends, which, come to think of it, might not be far from the truth. Then there's Bill's drinking. Now, having a tipple wasn't uncommon in those days, but Bill's drunken antics are something else. He goes from a surly, aggressive bear of a man to a weepy, self-pitying mess faster than you can say, whiskey. It's a transformation that's as entertaining as it is unpredictable. But perhaps the strangest thing about Bill is his loyalty to Dutch van der Linde. Despite being treated like the gang's resident idiot, which, let's be honest, he kind of is, Bill sticks by Dutch with the tenacity of a tick on a hound dog. It's a weird mix of admirable and pitiful, watching him desperately seek approval from a man who sees him as little more than a useful fool. By the time we meet Bill in the first Red Dead Redemption, he's managed to start his own gang. And that's when things get really weird. Imagine the chaos of giving a monkey a loaded gun. That's basically what happens when Bill gets put in charge. His leadership is a bizarre cocktail of brutality, incompetence, and dumb luck that somehow keeps him afloat, at least for a while. He's a walking, talking example of the Dunning-Kruger effect, too incompetent to realize just how incompetent he is. It's this obliviousness that makes him both amusing and somewhat tragic. Bill Williamson is like that one weird ingredient in a recipe that shouldn't work, but somehow adds flavor to the whole dish. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he sure makes the Red Dead world a more interesting place to explore. Bertram. Now, when you first stumble upon Bertram in the St. Denis saloon, you might think you've had one too many whiskeys. This fella is huge, and I mean huge. He's like a mountain with arms and legs, towering over everyone else in the game. But here's the kicker. Despite his intimidating size, Bertram's got the mind of a child. Bertram's backstory is as strange as they come. He used to be part of a traveling freak show, billed as the monstrous giant. Can you imagine that? A life of being gawked at and treated like a curiosity. It's enough to make anyone a bit odd, if you ask me. What really sets Bertram apart is the contrast between his imposing physical presence and his childlike demeanor. He speaks in simple, often fragmented sentences, and has the innocence of a kid in a candy store. It's both heartwarming and a little unsettling, like watching a grizzly bear try to have a tea party. One of the weirdest things about Bertram is his love for hide and seek. Now picture this, a man the size of a small house trying to hide behind furniture that's way too small for him. It's like watching a bull in a china shop trying to play ninja. Hilarious and bizarre in equal measure. But don't let Bertram's childlike nature fool you. When push comes to shove, literally, this guy's got the strength of 10 men. What makes Bertram truly strange is how he seems to exist in his own little world. He's oblivious to the harsh realities of the time, the struggles of the Van der Linde gang, or the general roughness of the Wild West. In a game full of morally gray characters and tough decisions, Bertram is this odd beacon of innocence and simplicity. Edmund Lowry Jr. Now, what makes Edmund such a strange and mysterious character is that for most of the game he's like a ghost. You don't see him, you don't hear him, but boy, do you see what he leaves behind. It's like playing a game of cat and mouse, except the mouse is leaving breadcrumbs made of... well, let's just say it's not bread. The way Rockstar introduces Edmund's storyline is pretty chill, considering the subject matter. There's no big announcement or mission marker. You just happen upon these crime scenes and piece together the clues. It's like you're suddenly in an episode of CSI Wild West, trying to figure out what kind of person could do something like this. One of the weirdest things about Edmund is his calling card. Most killers in games or movies have something simple, like a playing card or a signature. But not our boy Edmund. No, he leaves literal pieces of a map carved into his victims. Talk about going the extra mile, right? It's gruesome, sure, but you've got to admire the dedication to his craft. As you follow Edmund's trail, you start to uncover bits and pieces of his backstory, and let me tell you, it's a doozy. This guy was a seemingly normal dude with a wife and kids, but somewhere along the line, something in him just snapped. It's that contrast between his ordinary past and his horrific present that makes him so intriguing and disturbing. The real kicker with Edmund is when you finally track him down to his lair. Now, most villain lairs in games are pretty standard. A cave, an abandoned building, that sort of thing. But Edmund, he's set up shop in a basement that looks like it was decorated by Satan's interior designer. The place is full of body parts, scrawled messages, and enough nightmare fuel to last you a lifetime. He's not some raving lunatic or a suave Hannibal Lecter type. Instead, he's oddly normal. Well, as normal as a guy covered in blood in a room full of body parts can be. He talks to you like he's discussing the weather, not his gruesome hobby. It's that disconnect between his actions and his demeanor that really amps up the creep factor. Edmund Lowry Jr. adds a touch of psychological horror to the Wild West setting of rdr2. He's like that one really dark country song in a playlist full of regular country songs. Unexpected, unsettling, but somehow he fits right in with the overall vibe of the game's harsh and unforgiving world. Now, Gloria isn't your typical Red Dead Redemption character. She's not an outlaw, a shopkeeper, or even a quest giver in the traditional sense. Nope, Gloria is what you might call a woman of the night, but trust me, she's not your average working girl. This lady's got a personality bigger than the state of New Hanover, and a mouth that would make even the roughest cowboy blush. What makes Gloria truly strange is her, shall we say, unique business proposition. See, most NPCs in rdr2 might ask you for help finding lost items, or one of the strangest aspects of Gloria's character is her persistence. No matter how many times you encounter her, she's always on the lookout for that elusive gentleman. It's like watching a very adult version of Groundhog Day play out on the streets of St. Denis. You've got to admire her dedication to the cause, even if it does make for some awkward conversations. There's this weird mix of amusement, secondhand embarrassment, and a tiny bit of concern for her well-being. You can't help but wonder about her backstory. What led her to this life? And why is she so darn determined to find that gentleman? Gloria might not be saving the world or robbing trains, but she's leaving her mark on St. Denis and on players' memories, one awkward encounter at a time. In a game full of strange and memorable characters, she manages to stand out by just being unabashedly, unapologetically herself. And in the end, isn't that what being a true character is all about? We can't have this video with the real strange man. What makes the strange man so intriguing is that we never really get a straight answer about who or what he is. Is he a ghost? A time traveler? The embodiment of death itself? Or maybe he's just some guy who really, really likes messing with people's heads. The game never tells us outright, and that's part of what makes him so fascinating. One of the weirdest things about the strange man is how he pops up in both Red Dead Redemption games, despite them being set years apart. It's like he's not bound by time or space. He'll just show up, drop some cryptic knowledge bomb on you, and then peace out like he's late for a supernatural tea party. In the first Red Dead Redemption, he gives John Marston these morally ambiguous tasks that seem random at first, but end up being weirdly prophetic. It's like he's testing John, but for what? A cosmic job interview? The afterlife's version of a personality quiz? Who knows? But it's in Red Dead Redemption 2 where things get really weird. There's this cabin in the swamp that's clearly connected to him. As you visit it over time, a painting of the strange man slowly appears on the wall. What's truly bizarre about the strange man is how he seems to know everything about everyone. The strange man's dialogue is a masterclass in being cryptic. He never gives you a straight answer, instead opting for vague prophecies and philosophical musings. It's like trying to get a straight answer from a magic 8-ball that's been hitting the whiskey. Years after the game's release, people are still theorizing about who or what he is. He's sparked more debate than a political campaign, with theories ranging from he's God to he's the devil to he's actually John Marston from the future. Time travel, am I right? What makes the strange man one of the strangest, if not the strangest characters in Red Dead Redemption, is his sheer unknowability. In a game series that prides itself on its rich, detailed world and characters, he stands out as this big, enticing question mark. He's the narrative equivalent of that one puzzle piece that just won't fit, no matter how you turn it. And we are done. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.